Welcome back to the Tracy Take. I am your co-host Tyler here with my brother Ryan, and today we are doing our final mock draft before the 2023 NFL draft. I am so excited this week is finally here. Even like just still doing mocks all day today as we're recording this on a Monday night at 9 p.m. I'm still not confident in my mock. I still have no idea what's going to happen, and I'm very curious to hear your guys' thoughts on both of our mock drafts and also on what you feel will happen come this Thursday night. But before we get into that, Ryan and I, we just want to give a huge shout out to everyone that has subscribed to our channel. We're currently sitting at 1,194 subscribers, and we entered the year at 330. So we honestly thought if our goal could be to get to 1,000 by the NFL season, that would be awesome. But thanks to you guys actually enjoyed our content, which has then motivated us and really kind of has helped us continue to keep making content. So we just want to say thank you to everyone that has subscribed. And if this is your first time watching us, be sure to subscribe and ring that bell to get notified when Ryan and I create new content. We will be going live this Thursday at 6:45 p.m. Central Standard Time. So be sure to join with us, provide comments on your thoughts on the picks being made, ask us questions about ourselves, the channel, what you think our team should do. And Ryan, let's get over with this long intro. It's been a fun offseason so far, so I just want to give a huge shout out to everybody. Ryan, tell the viewers a little bit about what we are doing tonight.
Yeah, so we are doing a first round mock draft with trades. So trades are allowed. And then I think we're both doing what we think will happen, not necessarily what we would do.
Mm-hmm.
Is that correct? Yeah. So I think with that being said, let's go ahead. Let's get right into it. I will share my screen. And Tyler, you are on the clock.
I am on the clock. So
Yeah.
I will preface this right now. This is the only confident pick that I have moving forward. And that's, to me, that's Bryce Young going to the Panthers. There was a lot of speculation, and I was part of it about CJ Stroud going. And I think this is just the pick. One of the things going through this draft is if I was concerned or was unsure, it just kind of went back to what was my initial thought a couple months ago, because it's not like things have changed significantly. There's been a lot of talk, obviously, and Bryce Young has done everything that we have seen him do over the past couple of years. And the Panthers, I think, are getting a great quarterback. Size is of an issue, but you know what? You look at all of these prospects here, and none of them's a sure thing. It's not like what it was a couple years ago. It felt like, as we were talking about with our first draft, it's like Trevor Lawrence. It was like that's a sure thing. I mean, as sure thing as a sure thing can get. Stuff can obviously happen. But then you even go through that draft with Jamar Chase, Jalen Waddle, Devontae Smith. Like, it was just an unreal class. Penei Sewell, But enough with that pick. I'm spending too much time on that pick. The second pick here, I am still going to stick with CJ Stroud. However, there is less confidence in my mind that this will be Stroud. If they go Will Anderson or Tyree Wilson here, I can absolutely see that, especially with the reports going on and I mentioned this several drafts ago and also several Texans videos ago that could be a route that they go. But if they still have questions, and if Bryce Young's not there, if they love Bryce Young, but Panthers take him, I can see them being like, let's just still keep that we're not going to be Super Bowl contenders this year. No matter even if Bryce Young is there. So let's build this team around our young quarterback for next year. And next year's class, as we've talked about, is supposed to be a great class. Drake May, Caleb Williams, Quinn Ewers, if he elects to go, if all those guys elect to go. But there are some terms thrown around as generational talents in that QB class, and the Texans are going to have an early pick most likely. So here with the Cardinals, this is another one. I feel, even with the high ceilings of the QBs, I feel like no one's going to trade up here. I've thought long and hard about if the Titans should do it, but I don't know if they have the draft capital for that, especially if they're going to be rebuilding. In particular, I mean by that, like if they're rebuilding over the next couple of years, for what they'd have to give up with the precedent of what the 49ers gave up for Trey Lance. I don't think they'd want to give up 3 first-round picks. So with that, I'm still going to be sticking with Will Anderson here. I can see this being Tyree Wilson. I can also see this being Jalen Carter as well. If the visits went really well, I think from what I've heard from just camp specific from other teams that Carter did address some questions. So, but here at the number 4 pick, I'm going to go with Anthony Richardson. It could easily be Will Levis also, but Anthony Richardson, I just think his overall athleticism, I think, is what will attract the Colts to picking him there. If they go
Mhm.
with Levis, I also think that would be a good pick.
Yeah,
But he's just a little less athletic, and so
yeah. The Colts camp really likes Levis, apparently. So
that's what I heard too. But
yeah,
similar though, I think to what the Texans are saying is I'm trying not to read into it too much because I feel like if I really liked Richardson, I would be saying Levis is like our number one QB because
yeah.
I would want like the Titans if they want to trade up, be like, oh, what are they seeing Levis? Like, okay, I could see this. Go trade up to the Cardinals to overjump them, and then the Colts then playing 40 chess, be like, perfect, we got our guy. You know,
Mhm.
um, moving on now to the Seahawks. This is still Tyree Wilson here, and so I'm very curious just on why he has gone down in their rankings. I'm just curious and see on what they've seen. I still
Mhm.
like the overall potential in the ceiling. I mean, he could honestly go second overall, third overall. So if the Seahawks, if they fall to him here, I think that will
Mhm.
be uh, satisfactory to them, to say the least. So
Yeah.
first change here for me, and I'm going back to Devin Witherspoon as their corner. His pro day went well, and if you just go look at his production this past year, he was a lockdown corner, and they did sign Cam Sutton. They have had some players not on the team anymore since our last Lions video with some of the gambling scandal. So I'm going to stick with Devin Witherspoon here. So
Mhm.
at number 7 is where to me there's a huge butterfly effect because on one mock draft I have I had them going Christian Gonzalez. On this one I just did recently, I did Jalen Carter, and I am not entirely sure still which way they can go. I don't believe that they're going to go QB because I think they're in a similar boat as what the Texans might do. Well, I think the Raiders are going to do what the Texans speculation is where they're not going to take a quarterback in the first round and just wait till 2024. And because they have Jimmy G, I think they have a team that can compete, especially with all the offseason moves that they have made. Because if you go back and look at their performance last year, they only had one game outside of the last game where they got blown out. Every other game was a 1-score loss or win. And so I think there's some talent there. And so with that being said, I think they're going to go a different route. In this division, there's a lot of high powered offenses. And I'm going to go with Christian Gonzalez here at number 7. I think that he's going to be a good addition, and he's long, lanky, super quick. So at number 8 now, for the Falcons, as the Falcons fan, if they went any of the available defensive players here, maybe outside Lucas Van Ness, I would be happy. Even I don't think they'll go corner with Deontay Banks or Joey Porter Jr. Now it might be a little bit of a reach. Jalen Carter is sitting there. If they pick Jalen Carter, would totally accept it. However, if you look at all the offseason moves that they have made, it have primarily been big key additions on the defensive side of the ball, going from Jesse Bates all the way down to they just signed Bud Dupree. That's not the biggest defensive line signing. Yeah, David Onyemata, Calais Campbell. They did sign Caden Ellis. They made the trade for Jeff Okuda. They have addressed every single spot on the defensive side of the ball, and I'm sure they will continue to do that. On the offensive side of the ball, they have brought in some veteran pieces shaded for Jonnu Smith. Also brought in Matt Collins and Scotty Miller. Um, And so when it comes to the offensive line specifically, they did sign and extend Chris Lindstrom and Caleb McGarry. So the right side is locked up for the next couple of years. However, there is a hole at that left side. And Jake Matthews is getting older, and there's a hole at the left guard. And I think if there's anyone that could probably be the most versatile and can do both, or at least lock down the left guard spot, to me, it's Peter Skoronski. With this Arthur Smith offense, it is a run first offense, which then opens up the play action. Desmond Ritter is still a young, inexperienced quarterback, so there's going to be a lot of running the ball. And for this offense to be successful, they have to have a solid offensive line. And I think getting the best offensive lineman, who is the most technically proficient right now, that can also be the most fit in at guard, is Skoronski. So I think they go Skoronski here. I think he's the first offensive lineman off the board. So sitting here now at number 9, I don't want to. I think the Bears are still going to pass on Carter because their next pick isn't until 53. So if they want to address this offensive line, I think they have to do it now. And Paris Johnson Jr. get the tackle position. I think that he can start out at right tackle. They can kick him over to left tackle. I think he's the next best option. They could absolutely go Carter here, but I think that is going to be the route that they go. So lastly here, not a hard decision now if you're the Eagles. I mean, Jalen Carter fell all the way to you. You have a very experienced veteran defensive line. This to me is like, don't even need to spend too much time on this. So now if you're the Tennessee Titans, this is the dream scenario, in my opinion, is you are doing a rebuild. And I even contemplated them trading up, and the top 2 offensive linemen are off the board. You could potentially go Jackson Smith and Jigba. But I think, if we're being honest, Ryan Tannehill's not going to be there for much longer. You can bring Will Levis into a year to sit, and they can compete with Malik Willis, who I don't believe is going to be the answer either. So I think you go with Will Levis here, get him to get his feet wet, and he's not far from Kentucky. I think he's still kind of home. Another potential option here may be Darnell Wright or JSN. So with the Houston Texans now, the Houston Texans are going to take Nolan Smith. I think that there was a compromise between getting the QB second overall with CJ Stroud. They could absolutely go receiver here, but I think they also want to address the defensive side of the ball, and getting an edge rusher like Nolan Smith, super athletic, as you've mentioned, one of the most explosive athletic guys that we've seen in this class. So moving on now, most recent news, the Green Bay Packers finally traded Aaron Rodgers, and they've swapped first-round picks with the New York Jets. And to me, one, this kind of fits also my fantasy, where now they finally take a first-round receiver. JSN is going to fit perfectly in this offensive system. I think if you put him in the slot with Romeo Doubs and Christian Watson on the outside, 2 speedsters, and then you have just a absolute magician in route running. And JSN in the middle, I think that's going to be a great addition to that team. So moving on now to your Patriots. I'm picking Darnell Wright here. I just think that's just going to be a solid pick. He seems like a New York Patriot. I don't think he's going to be trading back. And not to, actually, I don't think I've done any trades up to this point. But I think if the Patriots are sitting there and Darnell Wright is there also, I think that's going to be where they end up going. So another tackle coming off the board, Broderick Jones at 15. So address that tackle position, help out your veteran quarterback right there. So Washington Commanders now sitting at 16. I believe that they're going to go secondary here. They can go any different direction. I'm going to lean towards Deonte Banks. I think Banks is going to be the guy that they end up getting. So at 17 now, I think we're going to finish off the corners here, go Joey Porter Jr. If Broderick Jones or Darnell Wright was available, I believe that they would go offensive line here, but they need to kind of start rebuilding that secondary. And I think that'd just be a storybook kind of ordeal for them. So at 18, Detroit Lions. This one was also simple for me. Kalijah Cansey now addressing that defensive line because they went Devin Witherspoon first with their first overall pick. So I think the Lions draft, I think if this happens perfectly for them, I think that they will be very satisfied with this first round. So this is where the first trade takes place. I have the Tampa Bay Buccaneers trading back with the New York Giants. I believe that the Giants have the picks to move up and take the Jordan Addison receiver that they are looking for. Yep, I believe that that'll be a perfect trade. Tampa Bay, they are rebuilding, and the Giants, I think, are in a win now mode, and they need to have a young receiver to go score some more touchdowns with them. Yep, Jordan Addison right there. Another trade up right here. I actually have the Dallas Cowboys moving up and swapping picks with the Seahawks. I am all on board of the Bijan Robinson to Dallas train. I think that fit works well. Dallas is in a win now mode. We've seen them make these trades to add veteran players, and there is a hole at that running back position. Tony Pollard's going to be coming back later in the season, and also Bijan Robinson's getting him here at 20, they will gladly do that. So picking at 21, we're having a run of skill position players here coming off the board, but I'm going to go with Zay Flowers here. The Chargers are very thin at the receiver position just overall. Also, too, I think as Keenan Allen gets older, if they're not having a season, I can see it being a potential trade target. Sorry. And I think Zay Flowers can come and fill that slot role. So at 22, he could go receiver here. However, the Ravens did lose a lot of people on the defensive line, and they haven't really replaced too much of that. So I actually have them going Myles Murphy here at 22.
All right.
So then at 23 here, the Vikings, man, they can go so many different directions. Could you scroll down a little bit here, actually? I want to see. Yeah, they could go so many different directions here. I will say, scroll up. Keep scrolling up just a little bit more. At this point, it's tough. You're getting such good value with Brian Branch, and I think he can address a lot of positions on that defensive side of the ball. Obviously, he can more of a safety, but I think he can come up play strong safety. If you need to even maybe move him to like a weak side linebacker or play kind of up in the box, maybe not linebacker specific, but just be that gadget tool that Brian Flores can use. So Brian Branch going here. With the Jags, I'm not going to overthink this too much. I believe Osiris Torrance is still available.
Mm-hmm.
I think keep him in Florida. I've heard he likes it down there. So he's going to Jacksonville Jaguars. Now with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, so many different ways I think that they can go here. So I will say there have been a lot of offensive line moves, and I think if they're going to players that have left, I think it seems like Tristan Wirfs is going to kick over to the left tackle. If not, you're still going to need a tackle to replace Donovan Smith, right? Yeah. Mm-hmm. So they could either go Anton Harrison or Donwan Jones, but I'm going to go with Anton Harrison here. So now the Seahawks are back on the clock, and they took Tyree Wilson earlier, correct?
Yes, they did at 5, I believe.
At 5.
Yeah, Tyree Wilson.
So, and then they traded back, got some more picks as well to help rebuilding. And scroll down just a little bit. It's one of the things that they need to address is the offensive line. I also believe as well, and correct me if I'm wrong, Ryan, but their tight end position is not the greatest. And I think they can kill 2 birds with 1 stone by drafting Michael Mayer. He is going to be a huge red zone threat. I think he's going to be a great complement to DK Metcalf and Tyler Lockett on the outside. And also just be a nice big target for your quarterback that you just gave a nice fat contract to. So I'm going to go with Michael Mayer here. He can help out. He's a good run blocker as well. He's kind of what I've coined a 3-down tight end. And so when Kenneth Walker was in the backfield, the Seahawks team was a lot more deadly, and I think they can open him up. Play action will become ridiculous. I think they can address other defensive needs later on and other offensive line positions later on in the draft, especially with their additional pick that they just got. I think this is great value here for Michael Mayer. So,
yeah, I like it.
Yep. At number 27 here, I actually have another trade. I have the Houston Texans trading up into the first round here with the Buffalo Bills. They need to get a new shiny toy for their new young quarterback to throw to. And I think Quentin Johnson falling this far, I think was probably too good to pass up. So, and you get him for that 5th year if he pans out. If not, you're looking at a difference of 6 picks. And he has I think we can all agree, he has the ceiling of someone that could be a number 1 receiver because with the height, the speed, the athleticism. So I think getting him for that extra 5th year, I think is huge. So the Bengals now, I understand completely. Like they do have a tight end need. They can get some more depth at the defensive interior line, but they still need to make sure that Joe Burrow is upright, especially if they're going to get him a nice fat contract here. And Dalvin Jones is sitting right there. I think similar. I think if they wait a couple picks, their next pick isn't until 54 or something like that. So I think they take him here and then just keep shoring up that offensive line. So the Saints here, I've done this pick pretty consistently, and I just like the fit of it. Saints have also lost a lot of guys on the offensive front, especially on the defensive interior side, such as David Onyemata, who went to the Falcons. So I think they're going to get Maisie Smith here. Where is he at here? Yeah, they're going to get Maisie Smith here. I think that's just going to be a good fit in addition. So Eagles here, pick number 30. They can go so many different ways. Who did they take earlier? Jalen Carter, right?
Yeah, Jalen Carter at 10.
Okay.
Yeah.
So many different ways that they can go here. Sorry if you can hear the helicopter coming over.
A little bit, yeah.
A little bit, yeah.
Yeah.
They're coming to get us. They're coming to get us here.
Yeah,
that's kind of swatted. I hope not. I don't know who's watching this channel right now, but so many different ways. They've already addressed the defensive interior. They did re-sign several key players on the secondary, and I think that could be a potential option that they go. But I look at this offense, and I'm just imagining how great they were last year with obviously AJ Brown, Devontae Smith, and you still have Dallas Goedert, but he is very versatile, but I think has been a little injury prone as well. And Dalton Kincaid falling here, I think it's just too good to pass up if it works out this way, talent-wise. I think that's another option. Now they can have a 2 tight end set, and when they like to do play, they like to run first. This is going to only open up the play action as well. Quez Watkins hasn't been as consistent, so they could probably do on overall production because he's just their speed guy. I think they can do a lot more 2 tight end sets with AJ Brown, Devontae Smith on the opposite side. Play action is going to open up the entire offense. So I think that could be a route that they go here, and just getting the value there. If they're going best player available, I'm looking down. I mean, maybe they could have gone Lucas Van Ness, but then that's double dipping on the defensive line, and he has some question marks as well. So last pick in the first round of my 2023 NFL mock draft here, which has been very hard. Every time I do this is very hard. I have no idea what's going to happen in this draft. The Chiefs can go in absolutely any direction here. Keep scrolling down just a little bit more. They could go in so many different directions. For me, shoot, man. I scroll up. Who's the top player available here? I'll just see here.
Emmanuel Forbes.
Yeah, let's go Emmanuel Forbes here. They did have a young secondary, and once again, similar, I think, to kind of the Raiders pick as well, is they're in a high-flying division with a lot of weapons. And so addressing that cornerback position and just having as much depth there as possible. But this is it. This is my final 2023 official. I think this is what is going to happen here. And it makes me really excited for Thursday because I have no confidence in this mock draft at all.
Yeah.
Because it's like, shoot, there's one mock draft I did. I have Christian Gonzalez there at 7, and I did one a couple days ago, and I didn't even realize it. I was confident in every pick, and then I got to 16, and I realized, oh, okay, who's the top cornerback that's available? And I go, oh, it's Christian Gonzalez.
Yeah.
It just missed him. He just you can find justifications for why each team would pick that player in the moment. Like I've been on Peter Skoronski now for the Falcons, and as a Falcons fan, I would love that pick. But that being said, though, there's not really a pick I would hate that the Falcons did. I mean, I know there's talk of Bijan Robinson at 8. I mean, it wouldn't be my first choice, but that being said, though, it's Bijan Robinson. Like
Yeah, you wouldn't hate it. Yeah.
I wouldn't. Oh, I would love it. I would like I would have I would love it. I would think long term, but I don't know if they would do that. But I feel that that they will go Peter Skoronski instead.
Mhm.
But man, I have no idea. I didn't even realize
Yeah.
honestly that I didn't have any trades until after I said that. I think the Patriots pick. But that being said,
Yeah.
though, I think all those picks were good at the time.
Yeah. No, I mean, it's hard to dispute drafting good players and getting good value. I personally think that there will be a lot more movement because I think teams are gonna, especially in a class like this. We saw this last year as well, but in a class where there's not a super strong quarterback class, in that early, like, or the late 10, like the late top 10, early teens, there's going to be a lot of movement, I think, because teams are going to be trying to get up and get to the last, like what they deem as true first round prospects, right?
Yeah,
Because a lot of teams, I think, are looking at this board and they only have 15 players that they truly like in the first round.
yeah.
And I think that's how a lot of teams approach the draft because whether it's off the field concerns or scheme fits or locker room concerns, whatever, they're gonna narrow down who they think would be best for their team, and I think that's where there's going to be a lot more movement. So, but that's really hard to predict is the movement.
Well,
But
that's absolutely because I think I when you said this, it made me kind of realize it's like there are a lot of really good players in this class. I think guys that can have Pro Bowl careers and potential Hall of Famers in this class, absolutely.
yeah,
But this class doesn't have the vibe of the class of the first year that we started the Tracy Take, and that was the Trevor Lawrence year. I
yeah,
mean, and you can go down that list of guys, and it's like, shoot, even Trey Lance. Like everyone was hyped about Trey Lance because you see his numbers coming out of North Dakota State. It's also
yeah.
very interesting as well because of the COVID year. So and but even then, you saw Jamar Chase, Jalen Waddle, Devontae Smith, Penei Sewell, you had Justin Fields coming out. Mac Jones had just won the national championship.
Mhm.
Like, and Zach Wilson had a lot of hype.
You didn't even
That's
mention Micah Parsons, who might be the
I
best
didn't even
one out
mention
of that
Micah.
class. Yeah,
Yeah, I didn't mention. Oh, yeah, because that was the Eagles traded up right to get Devontae Smith, and then
yeah,
with the Cowboys, and then the
yeah,
Cowboys took Micah Parsons. Yeah,
yeah,
so he you can make an argument he might be one of the best players from that class, if not the
yeah,
best. So it's in this class, I just don't feel that. These are all really good players that have a lot of potential, but
yeah,
there's also I could see every single one of these guys being a bust.
yeah, yeah.
You know,
And so that to me is what makes it interesting because different teams are going to have players evaluated differently. And one of the things that I think is really interesting is I think we saw last year that teams are getting more hesitant on questionable quarterback prospects, right? Like Kenny Pickett, granted, Kenny Pickett would be the fifth best quarterback prospect in this year's class, and he went at 20 to the Steelers. But I think you look at even recently with that Trevor Lawrence class you're talking about, Zach Wilson and Trey Lance haven't really panned out in the roles that they've been in,
yeah,
whether for injury or other things. And the jury's still out on Justin Fields and Mac Jones. and
Yeah.
that has like if you look historically has been one of the best quarterback classes that we've seen in years. And so I think it's getting more and more likely that at least one of these quarterbacks falls, and I
Yeah.
think potentially two fall.
Yeah. Well, and that's one thing where I actually think there might not be nearly as much movement as we saw last year. Is
Mhm.
there are questions outside maybe cornerbacks. At the same time, though, uh, would you want to trade up 10 spots just to get a cornerback? Like,
A
eh,
corner,
yeah, corner. Like, and so I don't see teams actually doing that too much, like how we saw last year with the receiver run that we all saw in all the
yeah,
trades. I can actually see guys being like, I like this guy if he's there, but I don't
yeah,
want to give up future draft capital because we might also need to address other positions. But like last year, that receiving class, and you know what, that receiving class when there was that run, a lot of those guys had really good years. I think Traylon Burks probably had the worst year, but I think he was also hurt a lot, and he
yeah,
was probably in the worst offense, to be completely fair. But he has a lot of
yeah,
potential, though. You look at this
yeah,
receiver
yeah.
class. You look at this receiver class, and there are a lot of question marks. This quarterback class, a lot of question marks. Uh, the defensive line class, still some question marks. I think outside of Will Anderson, you know. So it's very interesting. It's very interesting and a lot of fun.
No, yeah, I think it's going to be a really exciting first round, and I can't wait to see it. So let's go ahead. Let's wrap up this mock draft here. Again, if you guys have not already, please go ahead and like and subscribe, and don't forget to join us on Thursday night, April 27th at 7:45 Eastern, 6:45 Central, for the first round of the NFL mock draft. We will be going live, so go ahead, make sure to tune in and ask us questions about anything you like, whether it's our personal lives or the draft itself. Go ahead, tune in, and we'll see you guys next time.